Hey, welcome back to Cultured Redneck's Garage here. I guess we're on episode 4 maybe at this time. Where today we're going to begin welding in our patch that we have been working on. And, you know, we're getting a little bit later started today than what we really wanted to, but that's okay. We're going to get it done. Real quick before we start, I got to tell you what transpired since the last time. Come follow me. So, essentially, when I made this line had gone all the way down, and I got to looking. Over here on this side, this actually has a little indentation that goes down, and it wasn't as obvious over on the other side. So what we did was, I really think that this continues just like this, but the inner fender, or the fender, has a piece of metal, and I think that this might just take up the space there of the gap in between. So anyways, what we did since then was we went in and hammered this down and flattened this out so that it sort of matches what we were working on. And of course, what we'll do is, once we get it on here, we'll come in and take a bar underneath here, fold it over once we get this cut and welded. And I think it's going to work out quite nicely. So anyways, it is cold out here, and I'm ready to shut the garage door and get the little tiny propane heater going so we can get started. So I'm out here in the garage taping off some of our project here on the Plymouth, and you know, I'm having a good time right now, and it's not just because I'm working on this, but my little buddy, my son here, is joining with me today. And Eli, what are we working on over here?
The mini bike.
Alright. This boy here, he got to ride in this little mini bike, which you may have seen on my little shenanigan video about the monkey bike challenge. But, you know, the foot pegs weren't exactly doing what he wanted, so he took the initiative to bring us in here and get to cranking up and getting her fixed with his tools. So I'm very proud of him for doing that, and we're going to get him over here some more working on the Plymouth. Maybe he can learn something. We might teach him how to weld, form some patches, and he needs to learn that because this is going to be his one of these days. And you know, if you're going to maintain an old car, you got to learn how to do that. So anyways, we'll get back to work and get back to welding this patch in. Alright, we're getting ready to cut this out, but what we did was, you know, a lot of times I'll just use a little Sharpie or a pencil or something to cut out my stuff, but you know, like a smart person in high school, I painted this inner fender well black, which was, I didn't really want. Eventually, I hate to digress here, but eventually we'll do something different with this engine, or put a big block or something. In one way or the other, we'll pull the engine out and we'll redo all of this and paint it in here, but that's another day. But anyways, just so I could see this better, I just went ahead and you know, clamped all that down. I gave myself, I came in about a 1/16 to an 1/8, well, yeah, about a 1/16 of an inch in closer, because we've got to remember, even with that little piece on there, when we cut it, it's going to move in, because now it'll be flush. So anyways, we're doing that. And one thing I did too, I did have a radius on this little corner right here, but I decided to go ahead and do it straight. You know, a lot of times, to hide lines and that sort of thing, a good radius will kind of hide that, but it's going to be easier for us in this position to cut this just with a straight line, so we're going to do that. You know, I kind of have to give a shout out to my lovely wife. I can't really complain about anything in this shop. You know I say it's small and everything, but I've got heat. It is insulated, thank goodness. But one thing she did for me was, out of nowhere, she bought me a smart TV.
She didn't.
And so really, this This garage work becomes a lot easier and a lot more fun by having that, so I can stream stuff. Now granted, I won't be watching much of it, but it's nice background noise, if anything else. So anyways, that'll make life a little bit easier as we get along with the project.
Another, please.
Okay, well, we got I spared you all this grinding and cutting, you know, who cares, but I got everything cut out except for this guy right here, which I'll have to kind of sand down just to see if we got any spot welds anywhere. Then we can roll it off with the air chisel. Not air chisel, well, you'll figure it out. So yeah, everything seems to fit pretty decently thus far. I did notice, I don't know if you can tell in this, so I may have made mention of a rolled, a little more of a, there's a bigger radius than what I have in this patch. So what we're going to do is in our scrap we'll find a shape or something, a pipe or something like that that matches that radius, and we'll kind of hammer that back out so it kind of gets it there. You know what, I'm usually pretty calculated when I do a lot of this stuff and just double check that I miss everything, but I got really lucky right here. I don't know if you can see. Good Lord was watching out for me or something, because I made this cut and I made it just south of this support here for this inner fender well, so I'm glad it worked out that way. Well, anyways, I have got to go get cleaned up to go eat with some folks, and as soon as we're done and home, I'm gonna get back at it. Well, we got our little piece removed here and grinded down. We of course had a couple of spot welds, one here, and a third one just right here. And actually on our cut, we got this one, so I've kind of ground it down just a little bit. Anyways, we have sort of cleaned this up, done some adjustments here and there on our patch, and went ahead and sanded her down. That way we are ready to weld. So basically what we need to do is I'm going to make a couple of holes here for spot welds. We're going to go ahead and treat this area here. We're going to kind of clean it up a little bit, treat it with some weld through primer. I don't like using weld through primer that much, but I have had some success with it. This is 3M weld through 2 primer, so that ought to work. And we have a little tool that'll punch a hole. It's a flanging and a hole punch tool that we can punch our holes in here for our spot weld. So that's what we're going to go to next, and we'll get this tacked up. This is going to be one of those situations where we have to do a tack here or there, then take the clamps and adjust it a little bit, and but I think it's going to work out okay. So let's I've already got 1 or 2 little tacks in just to hold it, so let's get to welding. Burnt through there just a little bit. Alright, let's readjust. The patch is now, we tacked her down, did some working here and there. We got it all to fit, and did some spot welds here, and for the most part it came out okay. I had, you know, hadn't welded sheet metal since the springtime, so it was fun to get back to that. Had a couple of ugly ones here though, because actually burnt through right there in that corner, so I had to do some build up, but it'll all grind down okay. So I suppose what we're going to do next is we will get this bar underneath here so that we can now fold this lip the rest of the way over and grind off what we don't need. Then I suppose we'll grind down the welds, cut our holes, do some filler, and we'll put a fork in it and say it's done. You know what? I got to thinking. I was going to put a bar underneath here and try to take the hammer and get this ledge down, but I have to remember I had a little tool which I don't usually get a lot of use out of this thing because it's usually your hand power isn't as stout as it should be to bend it, but I was able to take this little guy, and actually I took the metal a little bit with this first and worked it over, and yeah, we're able to get a lip without doing that whole bar thing. Now what I'll do is I'll hold this here or get my dolly out in a hammer, and then I'll knock that ledge down. But the main thing is the way that fender sits on here. You just gotta be the right width, and it needs to maintain the angle. We'll clean that up just so that it does that, but we're still maintaining the angle we wanted. We might bend it up a little bit, but yeah, we'll clean this up, kind of grind that off or cut it however we want to do, and like I said, do that whole thing about grinding the welds and putting some filler on it. It's getting there. Hey folks, well, surprise surprise, I didn't get this done on Saturday, but nevertheless I'm out here on lunch break and we are grinding down the welds here, and you know, one thing we're gonna have to take care of, I knew that there were some issues here because I could obviously see the rust bubbling up, but I'm out here banging on this, and you know what, I wasn't going to repair this until I started doing some work on you know, pulling the engine. That way I could get to everything else that needed work. But you know what, we're right here, we might as well get this while we're at it. So we'll I'll you know, spare you the whole cutting the shape and all that mess, and we'll get us a patch made to get in there and fix that before we put some filler over this. See, you know, that's the way it goes with a lot of these projects. You know, there's always something that'll pop up. So we'll get it and we'll get it done and enjoy it. Alright, well, we took care of our other little nasty spot here, and this is what resided underneath it. We had a few little spot welds that were holding that on, but you know, this is a structural piece. I just treated it with some old Marhide spray. Usually I like to use a rust converter or an encapsulator with something like this, but you know, really all that matters, this is you know, kind of rotted out. There's really no way to fix this other than just take all this off and repair it, but yeah, we're not going to do that. Really all that matters is just right here, because there is a structural support there, and it is tied back into here on this cowl. And anyways, that's basically what will give that whole inner fender some rigidity. So we'll just drill our little patch here just for some spot welds to get it going right, and we'll paint that too in there so it doesn't get any worse. But yeah, this is going to fit okay. We'll get her welded in. But you know, like I said, you think you're going to do one thing and you end up doing several, so at least we got it. Alright, well, we got our little patch put in there. What I did before welding that in, I went ahead and took some primer and you know, of course, sprayed it over that treated metal that I had worked on. Then kind of, you know, cleaned out a couple of holes where I could get a spot weld in there. But anyways, we got her welded in, we still got to do some grinding on some welds. I kind of made a little boo-boo in here where I cut this back a little further than I should have. So I had to do a lot of build-up work. And I was going to get my son in here and teach him how to weld this patch. I thought it would be perfect. The perfect opportunity to teach him. However, I'm glad I didn't, because as I started tacking this, especially like in places here where this metal just isn't what it used to be from 1972, started occasionally get a little bit of blow through, and it's just mainly because of what the rust has done to the metal over time. But we got it, and we'll get her cleaned up. We got some more grinding to do, and I hadn't made a video in a few days, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and call this a video, and here in just a little bit we will get to doing the whole we'll finish grinding, and we're going to go ahead and mud this up and get her ready. We got to also transfer our holes right here, which won't be too bad. We'll get that done. Then we'll get her primed up and be done with this. We've taken too long on this, but we're getting there, buddies. So anyways, till next video, we'll see you. Thank you.